Karen.
Yes.
What if I told you that our next guest can see things that we can't?
Ooh, that would be very cool.
What if I told you then that she's able to communicate with non-physical entities?
See, now that makes a difference because without my glasses, I really can't see much. That wouldn't be saying a whole lot, but clarification is key.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm so sorry. But non-physical entities, spirit guides, and even loved ones who've passed on.
That's fantastic.
I thought you might be interested. So you see, apparently when we struggle with something, we're too close to the issue to really see it because we exist in this illusion that we call life. We're missing the obvious. And because we're caught in the vibration of the problem, the answer is always going to keep slipping through our fingers.
Oh.
Well, that's where our guest comes in. And her guides, they don't just see things differently. They see everything from the highest perspective. They can pinpoint the root cause of any issue and, more importantly, give us actionable steps to rectify it.
Wow.
Does this not sound like the kind of guidance we could all use?
Oh, yeah. Definitely you.
Wait a minute. You're not wrong, but I don't like when I'm getting called out like that. Well, I'm intrigued. I know Karen's intrigued. So if you are intrigued too, stay with us as we dig deeper into how our guest today taps into this wisdom to reveal what's hidden and how she helps others move forward with clarity on this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today we have the privilege of hosting Christy Levy, who uses her intuitive spiritual gifts to connect to those on the other side of the veil, whether it's past loved ones, spirit guides, or even the white light itself. She brings through messages and information about an individual's life path. Those that come through from the non-physical realm come forward to share their perspective and help us to see the truth of any situation. I am thrilled to welcome her to the show. Christy, good to see you.
Hi, Will. Karen's great to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on.
It is an absolute pleasure. We have heard so many great things about you, Christy, so no pressure, but we're expecting great
That's
things
awful.
here.
A lot.
That's awful. Oh, no.
So in the tease and in the show open, I talked a little bit about what you do and how you do it, but there's a distinction because you do a lot of things. Right? You are a spirit medium. You're also a spiritual coach. You do a lot of things. You channel different things. You tune into different things. So who exactly is Christy in 2 minutes or less?
2 minutes or less. Well, I have the alphabet soup of psychic ability is what I always say. None of it showed up in my life until I was about 55 years old. So 2 years ago. Before that, I was rather corporate, working in that type of environment, a mom, raising kids, middle America, that sort of thing. And I started meditating a lot, taking courses from Gary and Joshua. And as I did, my perspective raised. I kept doing the work. And all of a sudden, little things started to happen. I started seeing things in my periphery. I realized that it would be a very long story, but that I had some sort of communication with those that had transitioned. That was something I didn't even really believe in. I saw mediums and I thought they were fake. That's not true. There's no
surprise.
way. Yeah. I mean, I was really, in the last 5 years, I have eaten my words more than I care to say.
Well,
because I really believe in it. Yeah.
Yeah. A good thing you're slim because you were able to eat a lot of that stuff without a problem.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, and then over the course of the last couple of years, that ability showed up, some clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. Then I started to channel just a group that I had been communicating with privately, thinking it was just my own way of seeing something. And I named them the White Light. And there's a reason for that, but I was just communicating with them and never thought about bringing them forward to speak. And so then that started happening. And that's now who I am. I'm the weirdest person in the world. Yeah. It was the last thing I wanted to be. Yeah.
The coolest person in the world, right?
No kidding, right?
Now, I need to call something out because you mentioned Gary and Joshua. And for those that aren't in the know, you are actually the partner of Gary Temple Bodley, who was on our show a few weeks ago. We ended up splitting into two parts because there was so much coming through. And in fact, he channels Joshua, which is a group of non-physical entities that provide a lot of wisdom. And when we talked to him at the end, he's like, "Oh my God, you got to talk to Christy." So here we are, and we're glad that we did.
I met Gary because I found his channeling, Joshua. I had listened to Abraham Hicks for a long time and loved them, love her. Was just looking for something else. And I found Gary and Joshua, took his boot camp. We became friends. When all of this stuff started happening with me, he was instrumental in helping me just bring it forward, not be afraid of it. He poked and prodded and talked. And and then since then we've created a bunch of courses together. And then we have our podcast that we do together.
Wow. So we hear a lot of different stories from people where, they had an accident or some sort of traumatic event that caused their gifts to open up. But it sounds like you were more intentional. Is that right?
Well, I didn't intend for these intuitive gifts to show up. I assumed I wasn't psychic, didn't care, wasn't sure that how much I really believed in it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even something I was looking for. I thought there were a handful of channels in the world, Gary included. That didn't interest me that much. So it wasn't intentional. I was just on a spiritual path and I was meditating and I had other things. Most people come to this work to try to fix something, to make their lives better in some way. Something isn't working. Nothing's working, whatever it happens to be. My life was great, but I just knew that there was more and that it could be better. So I started doing the boot camp and meditating and reading. And in doing that work all the time, processing those limiting beliefs, my perspective went up and up, or my vibration, I consider them to be one and the same, just went up and up and up until all of a sudden these things occurred. I believe everyone has them. We are all psychic. We all have intuitive ability. Perhaps some of us might be a stronger medium. Some might be stronger at clairvoyance, others at time stamping or other things that are out there, but we all have them and more than one. It's just simply that our vibration, our perspective, because we're still in a lot of fear and control, there's no point in it really showing up. So it doesn't. Mine just showed up and I fought it. I really wasn't interested. I thought it was nuts. Yeah.
We hear that a lot.
We do, yeah.
In fact, some of us are stronger at odor. Strong odor. Come on, Karen. These are the jokes.
There was a joke in there somewhere?
Yeah.
Joke?
Okay, right. I get it. No, but I thought you were talking about, because I do get vibrational smell sometimes with the
too.
Yeah, that is exactly what I meant. Yes,
okay.
It is.
Recovery.
Actually, there is. Is a clear audient? No,
Sentient.
Sentient is
knowing. I don't know what the one with the nose is. Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's happened enough that I'm aware of it. And I'll get a very strong smell and say, okay, is that smell curry? Is it Indian food? And then the smell will go away because that means I got it right. When I get it right, it goes away.
And in fact, as I was researching you for the show, I did watch a video. We talked about this right before we started recording. You're smelling chocolate chip cookies. I would love to have that power. I'd be channeling all kinds of grandmas just so I could smell chocolate chip cookies all the time.
Yeah, it's really interesting that I don't really understand exactly how it works, but I find that most of and I don't mean to be callous when I say this, but I call them the dead people. I don't really know how else transition loved ones, or I don't know. That just is, if you knew me really well, you would go, that does not sound like her. Yeah. When I talk to the dead people, when they come in, they'll use anything they can to get something across to me. And they use what I will recognize. If they want to have me say chocolate chip cookies, I may not get a visual of a chocolate chip cookie because that might not register for me. I might just not even notice it. But an overwhelming smell, and wait, I smell a cake? Nope, it's still not going anywhere. And I goes, what is that? Is it cookies? Chocolate chip cookies. and then it's gone. So then I'll say it out loud to the person. I smell chocolate chip cookies because I know that's right. So they'll use anything that they can.
Right.
In our old house that we moved out of, every once in a while up in Sienna's room, I'd walk in there, our daughter's room, and I could like have this smell. It was like cumin or BO. It was just like every once in a blue moon. And it's when she was little, so I know it wasn't her.
Right.
You know, it was-
Right. It's funny, but most people, like we're just talking about, you have some sort of intuitive gift. That is not something that we'll recognize in that room, but you did several times. You just blow it off. Oh, that's weird. What does that smell? Right. And you just blow it off, or maybe you look for some dirty laundry, but you're not paying attention. So you let it go and move on. And it just doesn't see me. If I smell something, I stop. Okay, that's weird. What is that? What's going on? Just learn to do that now.
That's really interesting because Karen has a bionic nose. She could smell a strawberry 5 miles down the road. It's incredible.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I walk in the house, something's wrong in here, right? That may be a way that your spirit guides or transition loved ones try to communicate with you, and you can pick up on it. You're intuitively sensitive enough in that area that you think it's your physical nose. But it's not. It's just this, everything's vibrational. It's just this vibration that you're picking up on, and it is in the form of smell is how you recognize the vibration, because it doesn't have a sound or a light.
I told you it wasn't me.
No, I know it wasn't you.
You talked about the white light. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when someone says to me, the white light, and I'm assuming a lot of people are thinking the same thing, is when you die, you go to stay away from the light.
Carol Ann,
stay away from, right? The white light. Are we talking about the same white light that you're connecting with?
I have no idea. I was in a meditation shortly after these intuitive gifts began to show up for me. I was having a meditation, and in my meditation, I was speaking to Joshua, who has been my teacher for a long time. Sometimes I would talk to Abraham. My eyes are closed in a meditation, and they were this huge, it looked like a chorus maybe, but this huge group, this council, all different entities, right? Some human, some centaur, all these different things. And I'm just looking at them going, wow, this is cool. And I said, hey, if I opened my eyes, could I really see you? And they said, sure. And I was afraid to. I was like, well, no, because I was seeing all kinds of things at that point. I was, no, I don't want to. I'm good.
Yeah.
And they said, well, that's okay. We're just here to introduce you to your next teacher. And they just pulled back this curtain, and it was just this massive bright light. But my eyes are closed, so I can stare right into it. Right? It wasn't a real light. I was just in meditation, and it was just this beautiful white light. So I said, oh, white light. Hi. Right. And for almost a year, 9 months, I just talked to them privately, or you can hear old podcasts where I'm telling someone, well, I have this teacher and I call him my white light teacher, and they said this. And it's this drop the mic moment. That's who they are. And it just took time. I started out just translating what they were saying. And then eventually Gary was recording, and we were doing that. And I just went out. We don't really know how it happened, like Edgar Casey style. And they spoke with Gary for a couple of hours while I was just completely passed out. I didn't remember any of it.
Wow.
And for those who don't know, Edgar Casey was a sleeping prophet, right? He would go into a trance, and his secretary would take notes as he channeled things while he was in a sleeping state. Most people know, but just in case they know.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. I didn't know who Edgar Casey was, because when it was over, Gary laughed, and I opened my eyes, and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep on you. You have all this equipment set up, and I was laying, my head on the back of the couch. And he looked at me and he said, sleep, because he didn't know I was passed out. He thought my eyes were just closed, and I didn't know any of it. So we have this whole recording, and we were able to figure out when it started, because you can hear me start to giggle, and then I go down, and that's what would happen. So we did that for a long time. I would just go out. I learned how to just relax into it, and then I would just pass out. And they would speak for a long time with Gary. And then eventually white light actually taught me how to do it where I could stay awake, and I'm not there, but I'm there. So that is the white light. We've asked them hundreds of times who they are, and all they say is, we are the center. That's all they'll say.
Wow.
That's actually pretty flipping cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there. I think it's pretty cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. They'll say, we're the center of you. And if you ask, they'd say, are you the center of me? And they would say, yes. Are you the center of that cactus? Yes. And it's really funny.
So when you first started communicating with them, did it feel like it was your own thoughts, or was it a very distinct, different voice or type of wording? How did
It
you know it was someone different?
The visual for me in meditation gave me a whole sense of them. So I had a feeling, a vibrational sense, sort of a warmth about it, and definitely a slight difference in the cadence too. It's not the same cadence as my thought to me, the way that it comes. And they speak to me in a lot of different ways. So they'll send moving pictures, still pictures, blocks of thought that I sort of have to decipher, like streams that are full sentences. So there's lots of different ways that the information comes in that I can sort of sense.
Mhm.
And they're just always there. They're always right up to my 1, 2 o'clock. If I had a clock around me, they're right up there. They're always there. When I go to channel them, I just do my connection and close my eyes and I can feel it. They say I go to them, but I don't feel it like that.
Well, they would probably say that they're the center of you. So you're just
Yeah.
going inside, within.
Yeah,
Maybe.
right.
You're going
They
to-
say,
you're going to
yeah.
the center.
Yeah, we are you. Right.
Okay.
That's
All
just tough for me because I don't trust myself. I have to think it's something outside of me before I
Right.
would trust to answer some questions.
Like I mentioned, I watched a couple of the videos of you doing a mediumship session with people, and you were scary good. So when someone reaches out to you to set up a session with you, how much do you know about the person before you start? Because some people ask birth date and that kind of stuff. What kind
No.
of questions what
It
information do
depends.
you ask?
Some people that I read for, I know very well, as you can imagine. But they're friends, they're in the community. So I know a lot about them. But
Yeah.
if it's a stranger, which about half of what I do, maybe a little more than half, is with people all over the world, I will have first name. Sometimes they'll give me their first and last name, and usually an email address because they have to put that in. And
Right.
that's it. I don't know anything. And most of them, believe it or not, I do more for people out of the country than I do people that are in the US.
Wow.
So I just must be more popular in other countries.
So I just had this question popped into my head. Does the white light ever just talk directly with Joshua?
No, isn't that, I know,
That would
isn't
be
that
so
funny?
cool.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Joshua rips on white light. Sometimes it's really funny, but no, they collaborate, but the collaboration is always through Gary and I, and
Mhm.
we've never done a channeling session where I'm out channeling white light and he's not fully out. He's
Right.
sort of translating with Joshua.
Right.
And people have asked us to do it, and he's not been really interested in it. I don't really know what would happen. It would be kind of funny, I think.
It might be like matter and antimatter coming together and destroying the universe.
It could be super weird. Yeah, I don't know.
The conversation
We
would
do
be so
collaborate.
in-depth.
Yeah, it would. Right,
It would
might
last
be.
for like 2 weeks.
It would, but here's what I wonder, because I feel like the curiosity, in a sense, really comes from us here
Mhm.
in 3D. We are the ones who want to know. We have forgotten we're in this illusion of separation, and we want to know how to get where it is we want to go. And so all of the questions, all the curiosity comes through us.
Right.
And
Right.
when white light answers, if I have a question in my mind and they pop in, it's so instant. The answer is instantaneous. And same with Joshua, that there's just a knowing there.
Right.
So without us as intermediaries asking the questions and then formulating these answers and letting it flow, I'm not sure the two of them would have much to say to each other.
Yeah.
On it, you know?
In fact, I know exactly how it would go. One would go, dude. The other one would go,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Cool.
Right? Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We do this asking. And I say it all the time that when people thank me for, you changed my life, they say these things, or you changed my life, or thank you so much for doing the white light thing, whatever it is. And I laugh because it's those people that give me the space to do it. I'm not really doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it to save the world. I'm not. All of their questions are what pulls that through me. When I do a medium reading for someone who doesn't have a lot of asking. And I'm not really sure they're just doing it maybe for a party trick or something. They just think it's cool and they want to do it. It's like sucking a milkshake through a little tiny stir straw. It's so difficult. And I'm pulling and pulling and pulling and trying to get this to come through. And it doesn't. The asking is from those people there. That's where it comes through. I'm really like a telephone.
Right.
I'm not doing anything.
You do that.
White light's interesting because white light is not a teacher. And they've been quite clear. They are my teacher to teach me how to teach. They don't bring forward a message like Joshua. It's quite different. That's why I said they're very brave. They're really cool and they're very loving, supportive and encouraging. And yet where Joshua will have a 20-minute monologue when they open for a group of students, white light will say, "Good morning. Where would you like to begin?" And they will say, "We are not teachers. We are Christy's teacher, but we are not teachers." It's very interesting.
In light of that, I don't think I'm going to ask her to channel white light because I don't want to piss anybody off.
It isn't. They're great. It's just that there's a difference. And I think that's really interesting when I'm learning how many channels there are around and channel galactic and non-physical and all of these different things. And many, many people know exactly who they're channeling. This is the Council of 12 and this is Bashar. And the messages are really cool. And these are teachers. These are channeled messages and they're wanting to say something. They're really wanting to.
Right.
White light is beautiful. And I'm happy to bring them in, and they're not teachers. So they will just have a conversation and you ask a little question and they'll answer, and their answers are 4 or 5 sentences. And then they always say, "Do you understand?" or something, but they're very unique.
I gotta say, I'm a little intimidated. If you haven't noticed, I can be a little bit of a wise ass, and I don't know how they would react to something.
Oh,
like
they
that.
are.
Rein it in.
Yeah, they are. They are very, very funny to me. Not so much on Zoom. However, when I do live channeling, question and answer, I've been told they're very funny. I don't listen to it a lot. But oh my God, they were funny today.
Oh.
So they are, and they can be. It's just they're quite a bit different than Joshua. Joshua will just, it's like one of those cars that you pull the cord out, you whoop, let go, and they will go. There's so much they want to teach and so much they want to say. And it's a beautiful message. White light's message is very similar, just they're not teachers. But they are funny. They have a great sense of humor and nothing shocks them. It's not religious, right? It's not that sort of pious thing. It's just, it's real.
Well, then maybe we'll touch on it a little bit later when I drum up the courage to ask you to bring it forward.
I will tell you, Will, you're not the only one. People are very, very nervous to talk to white light. Always. Anytime I've done a one-on-one, when I do a group session, and these are people that talk to Joshua all the time, come to our retreats, do that. When they walk up to talk to white light, even Gary, he says, "I don't know what it is. White light makes me so nervous."
Oh, thank God. Okay. I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. It shouldn't. I mean, I carry them around with me all the time and they're really great. You're not the only one.
All right. I need to ask, in the beginning of the show, we teased the fact that you feel that we're all kind of stuck in the illusion and we're too close to our own problems and things like that. So I've gone to therapy. I've had channeling sessions. I've gone to mediums. I've had psychics. And it seems like I keep getting stuck in the same kind of thing, right? So this somehow suddenly makes all the sense in the world. Like I'm just too close to it, right?
Right.
And so when you do these sessions, is it wake up stupid kind of thing? Or No,
they're very gentle. They can be, especially when someone has not done a lot of the work that they've done, lots of processing of limiting beliefs, actual practical stuff that Gary and Joshua channeled. If they haven't done a lot of this work and they're not prolific meditators and they're just really getting going in this, it's very gentle. But their transition loved ones will typically come in really just to let them know it's real. We've figured out. And then the spirit guides come in and it's very gentle. We'll just say, okay, begin to meditate, and they'll give them very clear instructions on, you need to go outside, take your shoes off. You need to have this kind of stone in your hand. I don't know anything about this stuff. And just breathe. Just stand outside in the quiet, in the air, and just breathe and follow your breath for 3 minutes. You start them out doing that. And that's just one example of many. But on a road, after a reading of having maybe 5 or 6 instructions of steps to take. And the interesting thing is if they don't follow it, they won't ever know, because the steps might not appear like they're going to change your life. They're so simple.
Very subtle.
They're very subtle. And I find it if I happen to watch one again and listen to it, wow, if this person will do this, it's going to set them on a trajectory of going deeper and deeper and deeper. It's just, they've got to get started and they don't know, depending on where someone is on their journey. And then sometimes the readings can be very, very intense, like Wake Up Stupid. They're direct, and a lot of things are revealed. A person that is talking to me, there are many times where things come up and I'm thinking, I don't want to say this. And transition loved one or their spirit guide is like, you have to say it. So I'll tell them the memory and I'll say this and that. And they're like, how did you know? Well, I don't, because it's not me. They're telling me.
Right. Right. So sometimes it can be like Mr. Miyagi's wax on, wax off. And sometimes it's like 2x4 to the head. Got it.
It can be very specific to each person. It depends on where someone is in their journey.
I'm getting a psychic hit right now. I foresee a session with Christy in my future very soon.
I'm happy to do it. We do the dead talks on our podcast. It was Gary's inspiration to do this. I'm a little resistant to it because it's exhausting for me to bring in the dead people. I am transitioning out of doing personal one-on-one readings to doing them more in a group setting because of that. But the dead talks have a lot of that flavor to them. Gary wants to bring in these celebrities that have passed on, but rather than talking about fluffy Hollywood stuff or gossip, he asks them very spiritual questions about perspective and intention and life purpose. It's very interesting, really. And I resisted doing it quite a bit, but that has a little of the flavor of the readings in it as well.
You guys do the unimaginable life?
An unimaginable life. Yes. Yep. That's the two of us that did that.
All right. Is that the one that you do TED Talks on? Dead Talks?
Dead Talks, right? It is Dead Talks. Yes. We do that. And on that one, when we first started doing that, Gary had the idea and I'm not want to do this. And I said, all right, well, we'll try. Let's just see. Because I can't call anyone in. If you asked me to call in your dead Aunt Susan, I can't. It doesn't work like that for me. Some mediums can do that. That does not work for me. But I said, okay, so we start and I just sort of get quiet and open a door. And what I did, it got so noisy. It was like, well, I have no idea what's going on. Right? I can't tell. So I just said, okay, we got to do something. And I said, all the boys leave. I just want girls, like just the girls. And then we started naming categories. And that's what took us to this place of, we have these little cards that he has and I don't see them. And so when we're ready to start, he starts drawing a card and he says, okay, female, lived in the 1800s, music, right? And they all start clearing out until I get down to 1 or 2 that I can hear. And then we go and have a conversation.
That
It's been
is
really
so
interesting.
Flipping cool.
It's really fascinating. We've talked to Marilyn Monroe. We've talked to many, many that I have no idea who they are, would never knew. Once we got Charlotte Bronte, and I mean, that Jane Eyre was my favorite. I mean, a lot, and so I was a little starstruck in that one. I knew nothing about her though. That's funny. I know all about the book, but I don't know much about her other than her sisters. So they've been very interesting, but they don't discuss much about their life other than a couple of details. I think just to let everyone know that it's real. Because if you're sitting in the room with me, I don't know. He's got the cards and we go. So he does some details, birthdays or place of birth or some different things like that. But then he goes right into very spiritual questions. And from their perspective now compared to their life, what would they have done here? And It's really pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
it sounds cool. I've subscribed. I've got a bunch in the queue waiting to listen to. So I can't wait to hear. I mean, you get a lot of messages. You've talked to a lot of people, whether they're passed on or spirit guides or the center. You must have gotten some very interesting messages. What would you say is the most strange message you've ever received?
Oh, wow. Okay. Strains. Let me go a couple categories for you. The most common and the one that honestly comes through everyone, and that is to do only that lights you up. Follow your bliss. Do what makes you happy. That is so consistent, and it's said in so many different ways that finally I'm starting to tiptoe and understand what that really means. One of the more interesting ones was in a group reading that I did. And I had this line of dead people because there were 25, 30 people in the room. And I'm sitting up front and all these people are here. And so as soon as I opened up, I have a whole line of dead people coming in. One or two came and people recognize who it is that's coming and the messages. But then all of a sudden I could see, do you guys ever see a cartoon or something or a movie, they're trying to show someone coming in from another dimension. And so you have a wall and all of a sudden a face pops through the wall and goes away, the face or through the landscape of a mountain.
And it freaks me out every time.
Right. Okay. Well, I have that over here going on. I can see something coming in. And I mean, physically, I'm not totally physical. It's third eye visible, but it's hard to explain. And I can see this and I could tell the dead people were sort of stepping back to let whatever this was come in. And it's coming in and out. It's glitchy. It's very difficult to understand. I'm catching bits and pieces. As it turns out, it was the father of someone who was in the room, but the father was not passed on, but he was very, very, very late stage of Alzheimer's. So white light had to explain to me and the rest of us that when someone is in that state, they are in the non-physical. And we're all in the same place. We're not, they're not in another place. I promise you, right? They're right here. If anybody can tell you, but they're so in and out that he was able to communicate with his son through me to tell me some things for the guy's mother. That was interesting. I didn't know that was possible. That was really interesting. I don't know. Messages, there are so many, but the follow your bliss, do what makes you happy is paramount, even if it is just in small ways. It doesn't mean they're not suggesting, well, go quit your job as an accountant and move to California and leave your family, right? And try to become a musician when you can't play a note. In your life and moment by moment by moment, there's so many things that we all do that are based on what other people will think, on supporting our identity and supporting all of these beliefs that we have that are simply not true. And we function so much of our lives in that we have no idea what we really could do, what is possible for us. And just taking a little step to do one thing that makes you light up, that makes you happy without putting the, I shouldn't do that on it. That is the most common message that I get consistently, all of them, no matter where they come from.
So what I'm hearing you say is forget any preconceived notions of what is you're supposed to be doing or not supposed to be doing, societal pressures of anything. Just follow your bliss, regardless of what anyone else is saying.
Generally, yes. Now, to get there, that's a whole nother story. Just to do that is like saying, just stop it. Stop thinking that. Stop thinking that way. It is not that simple. And you might say, well, I can't get there from here. Or just don't worry about what other people think. It's so insidious that you don't realize how much you do it and on what level and what multiple levels we're doing it, from your spouse and your parents and your children and your neighbors, everyone, responsibility to them, all of these things based on getting love from them. We think if I don't do this, I'm not going to get what I need from them. So I have to be this and I have to be that. And it's all guised under this identity of good mother. I'm a mother as well. So it's all under this, and it's wrapped pretty tightly. So beginning to unravel it. It's interesting.
I imagine then that the opposite could also be true, because if you could potentially do something that brings you bliss, but that hurts someone else. Where's the fine line there?
Actually, you know what? Before you answer that, let's take a break and we'll be right back. And now back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
I imagine then that the opposite could also be true, because if you could potentially do something that brings you bliss, but that hurts someone else. Where's the fine line there?
That's an interesting thing that most people will go to that one. So if you give an example of what that would be, but if you say, well, if I follow my bliss, then I won't be able to support my family. That perhaps is what you mean. That hurts someone else. Or if my bliss is to drive 150 miles an hour down this 2-lane road, but I kill someone, right? It's these sort of extreme examples that everyone really wants to go to at first when you think about follow your bliss. And what they are all saying to us is it's not about this sweeping chuck your whole life thing and start doing that, following that dream that you've had forever. Certainly that could occur. But when following your bliss, if you understand that everything is perfect, everything is right, everything is perfect, there is this buffet of experience that we all want to be able to have. Just because I don't like olives doesn't mean I want them removed from the buffet, because Karen might really like them. And might be something that she wants to try, right? I hate them, but I'm not going to say, take those off or I'm not coming to that restaurant. And that's what this place is. But as we have balance and we operate from love, operating from love does not feel good to walk in and tell your family you are no longer buying food because you are going to start playing the guitar and you have quit your job and you will no longer be buying anyone food. They'll have to figure it out. That is a jump off a cliff into the deep end of the pool. But if you did understand that everything was perfect, you can't hurt anyone else. Even a murder I've experienced, and everyone played a role in that. To be the victim in that situation is a right of an experience that someone has. And I cannot create in your experience, even if I no longer buy you food. That is your experience. And we don't affect each other as much as we believe that we do. But it's taking these little steps to begin to understand, what if I just do one thing today that makes me truly happy? And watch and see. If you live in a household, what you will find is that if something is for your highest good, it is for the highest good of everyone involved. As you move through and start to test this out and play with that a little bit, you start to see it and understand it. My desire to not give my daughter a bath, right? I don't want to give her a bath may seem like, okay, well, that's a little bit different. But my desire to control her, to not let her talk on the phone, to make her go to bed at a certain time, those certain things may seem like I'm acting in her highest good, but actually what I'm doing is making our relationship difficult, making it complicated. And I don't need to do that. She has her own guidance. We all have our own.
I'm trying to drum up my courage, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So I think
hurry up, because I have a question.
I'm tired of having Karen kick me under the desk to try to get you to start. Okay. I guess at this point, would you be open to bringing in the white light through and seeing what, if I can be brave enough to talk to him or not?
Sure. Yeah, sure. It just takes me a second, and just understand, once they come in, I don't really have, I can fight to come out, but then I don't have a lot of memory of everything until I'm reminded of it. And then I'll remember what was talked about. So I'm really gone.
So how do we get you back afterwards?
When you're finished, they'll end and they move, and then I know. I usually cough
Oh, okay.
too. Yeah. No,
Okay,
that's
okay.
you don't you don't have to do anything except when you're finished, just but
Okay.
they usually know you're finished anyway. So
All right. I didn't know if
it's
we needed a
interesting.
safe word or something like that. Armadillo, armadillo,
Cucumber,
armadillo.
All right, let me get them.
Right.
Mm. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. We have some questions.
We are pleased.
Well, I guess if it's okay, I can go ahead and start. I have lately a few friends that are going through some really difficult times losing loved ones. And it's so hard for me to find the right words to say to comfort them. And I was hoping you could maybe give me guidance on something I can say to help these people with their pain.
In your physical reality, we understand that you experience loss. It is loss of the physical body, loss of the physical presence. In this attractive universe, you cannot ever lose anything. Now, in your intent, your loving desire to soothe another, this is, again, something that is not possible for you to do for them. Your intention to uplift is felt vibrationally by them in a time where their perspective is on a belief that in a universal perspective is not true. In this universe, there is no loss. Once something is attracted, it is. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. It is simply a greater 1. Your friend who has lost one is simply looking at a situation, a circumstance, from an extremely low perspective. Again, we understand that this experience of losing the physical presence of one is quite real to you. To reach to another, to assist them in raising their perspective, will be unique to each one. For you, as you look at your friend and you say, this is bad, this is wrong, my friend should not feel this sad, my friend should not be in this situation. In that place, Karen, you cannot hear your own inner self. You are allowing that outside condition of what you perceive to be bad or wrong or sad to drop your vibration. Now, what we would suggest to you is to first understand that everything is as it should be. What your friend is experiencing is perfect for your friend. It is exactly what they chose to experience, and they are fully equipped to handle this experience. They have everything they need. As you see that they have chosen an experience from the buffet, that while you would not have chosen it, you are appreciative that they have. They are simply you from another perspective. They are having an experience so that you do not have to. In that, seeing that they are God, they are everything and nothing, and they are absolutely perfect. And even in their sadness, they are complete and whole, perfect and right. There is nothing wrong. When you can hold that perspective on your friend, you have raised your own vibration to a frequency where you can hear messages from your inner self, from us, from all of non-physical, with the words to say in the moment to help shift the perspective of the one with whom you are speaking. You can be of no help, no assistance, if you look at the situation and say, this is bad, this is wrong, they need me. They do not need you. They are perfect. This is how you change all around you. You help shift their perspective by hearing your own inner voice because you know there is nothing wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is a little bit more selfish because Karen is very empathetic. She does feel for people a lot. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Just as much as my question to you probably won't surprise her at all. My biggest challenge right now is maintaining the connection to my divinity. Wonder if you could give me some words of advice as to how best to try to keep myself centered on who I really am versus the experience that I'm currently having.
This is quite simple. We will say to you that you never lose your connection to who you truly are. What occurs for you specifically is that you shift your focus deeply into this three-dimensional reality that you do very much enjoy. As you look in this three-dimensional reality and you feel that there is this that you might want, and perhaps this could be better, and perhaps this should not have happened. I should not have forgotten that. These thoughts that you attract as you spiral down into this 3D reality cause you to perceive that you have lost your connection. Your connection is never lost. Your emotion is your constant reminder that you are connected. When you feel resentment, this is your inner self letting you know that you are simply looking at something from a bit low perspective. Your inner self is saying, Will, we are right here. We are seeing the truth. We are holding the truth. And you are looking over there and you are feeling this resentment because you are feeling your separation, your distance from us. You are never, ever, ever alone as long as you feel you know your connection. To teach yourself to practice the slowing of that very rapid fire thought. This is perhaps for you a bit of a challenge in the surrender of this. The body gives this a bit of a fight. Body does not want to How long is this going to last? How long do I have to sit here? How long do I have to lay here? I don't like doing this. Why is this happening? Why won't my mind stop? I can't do this. I've got to get a cup of coffee. I'm up. Yes, this is meditation. This is for everyone. The practice of slowing down the thought for 5 minutes in meditation every day, to 10 minutes, to ultimately 2 hours, if you wish, is a practice that will allow you to slow the thoughts when you are consciously moving about. When you can slow the thought as you are moving about, and you begin to see that everything that is occurring just for you. It is your universe. You are your own. You slow the thought and you catch when you feel a bit of annoyance, when you feel a bit of resentment, when you feel angry, when you feel hopeless, when you feel overwhelmed. You will recognize this feeling and you will say, what is the thought I am thinking? I am looking at this from a very low perspective. Let me shift that. How could this be for me? And you shift your perspective up. It is quite within your power to do this. You will maintain this feeling of connection with your inner self with every step you take. Do you understand what we are saying to you?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. All right. One last question. I know in my reality, Led Zeppelin sang Dream On. And yet in this one, apparently Aerosmith sang it. So can you confirm that I did indeed hop universes? In my universe, Led Zeppelin sang Dream On.
You are speaking of this idea of shifting timelines.
Yes.
In many arenas, it is being discussed as the new Earth, the splitting of the planet. This is something that is occurring constantly. It is infinite. The awakening of many of you on the planet is a notice of this sort of thing and a greater belief by the collective that this is perhaps possible. Know this. You have set yourself up to be here on this planet at this specific time because this is what you chose, what you wanted. And as a collective, you have all agreed to experience the Mandela effect and the new Earth, and World War II occurred prior to your birth. You all agreed on all of this as a collective. Much of it simply for your own entertainment. This is supposed to be fun. And isn't that fun? To simply know and perhaps have others who agree with you and sit across the table from those that you love who completely know that you are wrong and they see it this way. And you can look it up on your little tiny telephones and prove that you are both correct. This is extraordinary. And it is fun, and it is for no other purpose than for your entertainment. So do enjoy.
Unless it's those times when I am definitely in the right and those others are in the wrong. I totally understand. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming and talking to us. We know that you are Christy's teachers, and we appreciate you sharing of her and yourself with us. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. We know you, and we love you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Hey. Was it fun?
That was a lot of fun, actually. Yes. Did you get the
Yeah.
answer you needed?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I
awesome.
did.
Yeah, I got
Yeah?
both of the answers I needed. Yes.
Did
very
you?
much so.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. They're good. They'll answer you. You
Yeah.
usually will have to listen to it a few times to actually hear the answer. Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
I mean, I was hyper fixated. I was super connected. So I know I heard the message. I know, and I always do. I always listen to the shows back several times
Yeah.
anyway for quality assurance purposes. Really, I learned more doing these shows than anyone else who's listening to the show. Trust me, this is for me. But
Yeah. Isn't that great? That's why you do it. You do
Yeah.
it for you. I'm just going to tell people that because it's true. And eventually, if I try to put some image up that I'm trying to save the planet, that's going to catch up with me. I'm not doing that.
yeah, no. This is definitely a selfish venture. But if we can help others in the pursuit of our own education, then
It's great.
so be it. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
It's
Win-win.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Following your
Awesome.
bliss. That's the thing. There are people
you
that are
go.
asking, you're following something you love, and
Yeah.
it's not going to harm anyone when it comes from love.
Yeah.
It is always going to be a benefit to everyone it touches.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Christy, this has been so much fun. If someone wanted to reach out to you or learn more about you, get one of your sessions with you, I know that you're doing less one-on-one, doing more group sessions and things. I know you and Gary do those retreats. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
My website is christylevy.com. So that's a pretty easy one.
All right. Well, we're going to add a link to that website on our show notes. We're probably going to leave your email out so that you don't get deluged with people trying to connect with you individually. But if you are interested in connecting with Christy, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page. You'll see that link directly in the show notes. So it's an easy connect. One click and you're there.
There you go.
I'm so excited to have had the chance to meet you and speak with you and speak with the white light, because that was really amazing too. So thank you.
Oh, good. Glad this has been great. Thank you so much for having me on here. I can't think of a better way to spend an hour. It was great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. That's, I feel that. I'm going to cry.
We're very fancy. This is really, it's been a lot of fun.
No, truly, we know that you don't do a lot of these, so we're really very appreciative. We're honored and privileged and can't wait for the audience to experience you for themselves. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
And a huge thank you to you. We know that there are tons of options out there, and having you decide to come along on our journey of discovery with us is an absolute honor for us. We'd love for you to contribute by sending us a voicemail or an email from our website, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform that supports them. Karen and I love hearing from those that are moved to message us. It truly does fuel our passion. You are the reason we do this show, and knowing what you like and don't like help us craft the very best show we can so that we can help raise the vibration of the planet together. Well, that's all for now, but we'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.